Mary Morrison lives with her husband, Tom, and their 2 children. One day, after getting ready, 2 people arrive at her home. Mary once was a famous novelist, and they've come to deliver a royalty check. However, they have other intentions. The man explains their publishing agency is struggling and asks her to write a new book in the series. Though the offer is generous, Mary becomes furious, feeling ambushed. She demands they leave, and they do. Before going, the woman remarks that she doesn't care, she lives lavishly, but others are struggling, and Mary could help if she chose to. That night, Tom comes home and notices the offer letter Mary forgot to throw away. Seeing it's for $2 million, he has a change of heart and tells her to consider it. Later, Mary puts the kids to bed and sleeps with Tom. Later that night, Mary is outside smoking when Tom joins her. He urges her to seriously consider the offer, which makes her suspicious. Pressured, he admits he made a risky gamble and lost a lot of money. If she accepts the deal, they could recover. They get into a heated argument. Mary doesn't want to return to writing. The next morning, she's in the sauna with her best friend, Elaine. Elaine says it's too much money to turn down, and that once the book is done, life can go back to normal. But Mary explains that writing changes her. She becomes someone else. Elaine suggests hiring a full-time nanny so she can work without distractions. But Mary dislikes the idea she doesn't trust strangers with her kids. Elaine insists and mentions a reputable nanny center. The following day, Mary visits the center. The manager assures her that their staff is top-tier and loving. Soon, several women come for interviews, but none of them feel right to Mary. She tells Tom she's uncomfortable with all the candidates and might drop the whole plan. Just then, a young girl arrives, clearly there for the interview. Mary welcomes her in. The girl introduces herself as Grace. Mary goes to make tea and notices Grace has already picked up a book and started reading, which catches her attention. They begin talking and soon discover a shared love of reading. Grace tells her about the book she's currently into, and they connect instantly. Mary asks Grace about her childhood, but Grace gives vague answers. Mary gets a phone call and steps away. Meanwhile, the kids return home. When Mary comes back, she finds Grace has already bonded with them, which puts her at ease. She then shows Grace her book collection and, feeling confident, hires her as the nanny. Things begin to fall into place, and even Elaine is surprised at how quickly Grace connects with the children. One day, the kids want to go to the pool. Mary offers Grace one of her swimsuits. Grace changes, revealing an incredible figure, but she's clearly self-conscious. Mary hands her a cover-up and compliments her, saying she looks stunning. Elaine sees her and warns Mary that girls like Grace can be trouble. Mary brushes it off, saying Grace is shy and there's nothing to worry about. Just then, Tom arrives and introduces himself to Grace, but his eyes linger on her a little too long. Tom is preparing dinner and mentions it's been a while since they were intimate in the kitchen. With Grace watching the kids, they sneak off to the pantry for a quick encounter. Soon, everyone gathers in the kitchen, and Grace says she's going to get the kids ready for bed. After they leave, Tom and Mary slip away for another round. Later, Grace is about to leave after work, but Tom invites her to stay for dinner. She declines, saying she keeps this time reserved for her family. Mary starts writing again, while Grace takes charge of the house, impressing Mary even more. One day, Mary accidentally steps on glass. As Grace helps her, Mary notices Grace's cleavage, which catches her attention. She suggests they go shopping, treating Grace. They pick out several lingerie pieces and head to the fitting room. While trying them on, Grace removes her bra. Mary says her breasts used to look like that, and, surprising her, Grace presses Mary's hand to her chest, urging her to remember how it felt. Later that night, Mary asks Tom if she should get plastic surgery because she feels older. Tom reassures her, saying she's more beautiful than ever. They begin to get intimate, but Grace interrupts, saying she's done for the day and leaving. One day, Mary is smoking outside when she catches Grace, changing her clothes, and finds herself staring. Later, in a meeting, her team suggests adding a murder to her story to make it more thrilling. But Mary zones out, fantasizing about Grace. She confides in Elaine about her fantasies, and admits she might have a kink for master and maid scenarios. Elaine suggests she could use it to break through her writer's block. Later that night, Mary comes home to find Tom drinking with Grace. She sits on Tom's lap and starts kissing him in front of Grace. Tom reminds her they have a dinner planned with Elaine and her husband. Grace offers to take care of the kids. She helps Mary get ready and tells her how blessed she feels to be part of the family. Mary tells her the feeling is mutual. On their way to dinner, Tom asks Mary about Grace's childhood, but Mary doesn't know much. He comments that Grace is great with kids and suggests they include her more in family life. At dinner, Elaine invites Tom to dance. Meanwhile, Grace talks to Elaine's husband about Mary's books. He shares how much he loved her earlier works, especially the dark plots. Mary suddenly notices how close Tom and Elaine are dancing, and it makes her uneasy. One morning, while Mary is writing, Grace enters, and Mary asks her to apply sunscreen. As Grace massages it into her back, the moment quickly becomes charged. Suddenly, Mary jumps into the pool and urges Grace to join her. Grace changes into a bikini that highlights her figure and gets in. They swim, drink, and dance around the house. Eventually, exhausted, they collapse together. Grace grows emotional, saying she's never felt so loved and begs Mary not to let her go. Mary promises the same, and they fall asleep together. Mary later wakes to find Grace kissing her. She shuts her eyes, but when she opens them again, Grace is gone. One evening, the whole family attends a school event, and Grace comes along. Mary pulls her aside and says it can't happen again. But Grace is confused and insists nothing happened between them. Another day, Mary gets into the bathtub for a relaxing soak. Grace enters with some refreshments and begins giving her a massage. The mood shifts. Grace starts touching her inappropriately. Mary tries to stop her, but Grace continues, pleasuring herself. After the climax, Mary opens her eyes. Grace is gone. She starts to question whether any of it was real. Mary finally overcomes her writer's block and starts writing again. One day, Grace invites her to lunch after they drop the kids at school. While doing so, Elaine spots them together and grows suspicious. Afterward, Mary and Grace stop at a diner for a quick bite. As they talk, Tom comments that she's been acting strange lately. Mary replies that she's just being herself, but her flirtatious behavior makes Tom visibly aroused. On the drive home, they play loud music and enjoy the moment. Later, Mary and Grace plan a picnic. They ride a bicycle to the location, celebrating Mary finishing her first draft. Mary reads poetry to Grace and gently caresses her. They start kissing, but Mary pulls away. She says, "Grace is amazing, but she's married and what they're doing is wrong." As they prepare to leave, Mary notices someone has slashed the bicycle tire. They walk home and find Eleanor in a heated argument with Tom. Tom and Grace go inside, and Eleanor speaks to Mary. She says she saw Tom with Grace and thinks something is going on. Mary snaps, accusing Eleanor of being paranoid and points out how close she was to Tom. Eleanor insists she came to talk about Mary, but says the discussion should happen during therapy. While cooking together, Grace becomes increasingly touchy with Mary. Mary pulls back, reminding her that tomorrow marks her 10th anniversary. Ignoring it, Grace continues to seduce her. Eventually, Mary gives in. Just as Grace is pleasuring her, Tom arrives home with the kids. Mary quickly claims she's unwell and goes to bed. Later, she hears noises outside, steps out, and sees Grace and Tom having sex on the kitchen counter. Shocked, she faints. Mary wakes in her bed and walks to the kitchen, where everything appears normal. During dinner, she suddenly bursts out, accusing them of sleeping together. Tom insists she imagined it. Back in their bedroom, Mary blames him for everything, saying his financial recklessness forced her back to work. Tom tries to soothe her, saying things will improve. Later that night, Mary steps out to smoke, but finds her cigar missing. She remembers Grace smoking earlier and begins to wonder if what she saw was real. Meanwhile, Tom wakes and notices Mary isn't in bed. The next morning, Mary and Tom wake up and wish each other a happy anniversary. While working, she gets a call from a nursery center about a check. The manager mentions that she just wanted to follow up since Mary never reached out, which sends chills down her spine. Mary asks if they have a nanny named Grace, but the manager says no. Just then, Grace enters, and Mary quickly changes the subject, disconnecting the call. She apologizes for her behavior the previous night. Mary then recalls a book Grace had mentioned and heads to the library to find out who took it. After gathering the details, she tries calling Elaine but gets no answer. In a hurry, she goes to Elaine's office, only to find her murdered. At the police station, a detective questions Mary, revealing that her fingerprints were found on the murder weapon and that CCTV footage shows her at the scene. The detective notes the eerie similarity between Elaine's murder and a scene in Mary's book. Mary insists many people had access to her manuscript, including Grace. Just then, Tom enters. He says they need to get Mary out of this situation and asks where she was the previous night. Mary explains she went out for a smoke, but Tom reveals she was gone for nearly 3 hours. He also mentions that the knife used to slash the bicycle tires was found, with her fingerprints on it. The police also found papers in Elaine's office, diagnosing Mary with PTSD. Mary argues that she spent a lot of time with Elaine and knew everything about her. She then excuses herself to use the washroom, but instead takes her car and leaves. Mary begins to believe everything that happened was real and done by Grace. She drives to Grace's last known address. An elderly woman lets her in after hearing she wants to talk about Grace. While in the washroom, Mary overhears the woman talking to an old man. When she returns, the woman says Grace was once in her foster care and worked at a spa. She reveals Grace's parents abused her, both sexually and physically. Suddenly, the woman starts speaking in a man's voice and kicks her dog. Mary realizes she's unstable and that Grace likely endured abuse from her as well. She leaves quickly, connecting the dots that Grace must have overheard her and Eleanor's conversation at the spa, and then came to Mary for the job. Mary leaves a voicemail for Tom, warning him not to let Grace in, as she is dangerous. Tom is in the shower, and the kids are in their bedroom. To his shock, Grace enters, holding a knife and wearing lingerie. She tells him that he must obey her. Tom insists that what happened between them was a mistake, and will never happen again. But Grace grows more aggressive, slashing him with the knife. Just then, Mary arrives home and calls out for Tom. Grace's behavior suddenly shifts. She changes into normal clothes and meets Mary, who rushes to Tom. Tom explains that Grace seduced him, and he's not to blame. Mary orders Grace to call 911, which she does, but then Grace claims someone else hurt Tom. Suddenly, Grace shifts again. She picks up the knife and introduces herself as Margaret, claiming she's the one who hurt Tom. It's revealed that Grace has dissociative identity disorder and keeps switching personalities. Mary flees, but Grace chases her. They struggle throughout the house, with Grace eventually overpowering Mary. Grace reveals that she and her brother were chained in their parents' basement. Her brother, who named her Margaret, sexually abused her, leading to her mental disorder. Back in the present, she says that, like others, Mary will leave the spa, and she will have to kill her. Grace begins choking Mary, but Mary grabs a vase and knocks Grace out. Before losing consciousness, Grace pleads, asking Mary not to give up on her. A year has passed since the incident. Mary has completed her book and returned to her normal life. She visits Ella's grave with her manuscript, dedicating the book to her. Next, she heads to the rehab center where Grace is now staying. Grace has regressed into a childlike state, and they pass the time playing cards. So that's the recap of the 2021 movie Deadly Illusions. For more recaps like this, make sure to stay subscribed to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, you may also like this one.